Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Манай нэвтрүүлгүүд олон хэлээр гардаг зочлог хаяг Supreme Master TV /schedule.
A believing love will relieve us of a vast load of care. O my brothers, God exists. There is a soul at the center of nature and over the will of every man, so that none of us can wrong the universe. Please continue watching for the insightful writings of venerated American philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson, vegetarian.
Warm greetings, serene viewers. I'm Stephen. The God-loving people of the United States of America wish you an abundant spiritual life in the grace of the divine. Welcome to Spiritual Laws, selection from an essay by Ralph Waldo Emerson, vegetarian, on words of wisdom. Ralph Waldo Emerson was a renowned 19th century American essayist, philosopher, lecturer, poet, and a leader of the transcendental philosophical movement. His literature influenced many other celebrated writers, including Henry David Thoreau and Walt Whitman. Emerson is most famous for his essays, through which he expresses ideas of freedom, spirituality, individuality, the great ability of humans to realize almost everything, and the relationship between the soul and the surrounding world. Ralph Waldo Emerson traveled widely, giving lectures, and became well known for his publications, essays, and nature. Today, we will invigorate our minds and spirits with an excerpt from one of Mr. Emerson's perceptive essays entitled Spiritual Laws. The philosopher's honest approach in explaining some spiritual aspects suggests a fresh view on them for us, the enthusiastic audience. Spiritual Laws. When the act of reflection takes place in the mind, when we look at ourselves in the light of thought, we discover that our life is embosomed in beauty. Behind us, as we go, all things assume pleasing forms, as clouds do far off. Not only things familiar and stale, but even the tragic and terrible are comely, as they take their place in the pictures of memory. The riverbank, the weed at the waterside, the old house, the foolish person, however neglected in the passing, have a grace in the past. The soul will not know either deformity or pain. If, in the hours of clear reason, we should speak the severest truth, we should say that we had never made a sacrifice. In these hours, the mind seems so great that nothing can be taken from us that seems much. All loss, all pain is particular. The universe remains to the heart unhurt. Neither vexations nor calamities abate our trust. No man ever stated his griefs as lightly as he might. allow for exaggeration in the most patient and sorely ridden hack that ever was driven. For it is only the finite that has wrought and suffered. The infinite lies stretched in smiling repose. The intellectual life may be kept clean and healthful if man will live the life of nature and not import into his mind difficulties which are none of his. No man need be perplexed in his speculations. Let him do and say what strictly belongs to him, and though very ignorant of books, his nature shall not yield him any intellectual obstructions and doubts. A simple mind will not know these enemies. It is quite another thing that he should be able to give account of his faith, and expound to another the theory of his self-union and freedom. This requires rare gifts. My will never gave the images in my mind the rank they now take. The regular course of studies, the years of academical and professional education have not yielded me better facts than some idle books under the bench at the Latin school. What we do not call education is more precious than that which we call so. We form no guess, at the time of receiving a thought, of its comparative value, and education often wastes its effort in attempts to thwart and balk this natural magnetism, which is sure to select what belongs to it. In like manner, our moral nature is vitiated by any interference of our will. People represent virtue as a struggle, and take to themselves great errors upon their attainments, and the question is everywhere vexed, when a noble nature is commended, whether the man is not better who strives with temptation. But there is no merit in the matter. Either God is there, or he is not there. We love characters in proportion as they are impulsive and spontaneous. The less a man thinks or knows about his virtues, the better we like him. When we see a soul whose acts are all regal, graceful, and pleasant as roses, we must thank God that such things can be and are, and not turn sourly on the angel and say, Crump is a better man with his grunting resistance to all his native devils. Not less conspicuous is the preponderance of nature over will in all practical life. There is less intention in history than we ascribe to it. We impute deep-laid, far-sighted plans to Caesar and Napoleon, but the best of their power was in nature, not in them. Men of an extraordinary success in their honest moments have always sung, Not unto us, not unto us. Psalm chapter 115, verse 1 in the Holy Bible. According to the faith of their times, they have built altars to fortune, or to destiny, or to St. Julian. Their success lay in the parallelism to the course of thought, which found in them an unobstructed channel, and the wonders of which they were the visible conductors seemed to the eye their deed. Did the wires generate the galvanism? It is even true that there was less in them on which they could reflect than in another, as the virtue of a pipe is to be smooth and hollow. Could Shakespeare give a theory of Shakespeare? Could ever a man of prodigious mathematical genius convey to others any insight into his methods? If he could communicate that secret, it would instantly lose its exaggerated value, blending with the daylight and the vital energy, the power to stand and to go. The lesson is forcibly taught by these observations, that our life might be much easier and simpler than we make it. that the world might be a happier place than it is, that there is no need of struggles, convulsions, and despairs, of the wringing of the hands and the gnashing of the teeth, that we miscreate our own evils. We interfere with the optimism of nature, for whenever we get this vantage ground of the past, or of a wiser mind in the present, we are able to discern that we are begirt with laws, which execute themselves. The face of external nature teaches the same lesson. Nature will not have us fret and fume. When we come out of the caucus, or the bank, or the abolition convention, or the temperance meeting, or the transcendental club, into the fields and woods, she says to us, "So hot, my little sir." We are full of mechanical actions. Love should make joy, but our benevolence is unhappy. Why should all virtue work in one and the same way? Why should all give dollars? It is very inconvenient to us country folk, and we do not think any good will come of it. We have not dollars. Merchants have. Let them give them. Farmers will give corn, poets will sing, women will sew, laborers will lend a hand, the children will bring flowers. The simplicity of the universe is very different from the simplicity of a machine. The simplicity of nature is not that which may easily be read, but is inexhaustible. The last analysis can no wise be made. We judge of a man's wisdom by his hope, knowing that the perception of the inexhaustibleness of nature is an immortal youth. The wild fertility of nature is felt in comparing our rigid names and reputations with our fluid consciousness. A little consideration of what takes place around us every day would show us that a higher law than that of our will regulates events, that our painful labors are unnecessary and fruitless, that only in our easy, simple, spontaneous action are we strong, and by contenting ourselves with obedience, we become divine. Belief and love. A believing love will relieve us of a vast load of care. Oh, my brothers, God exists. There is a soul at the center of nature and over the will of every man, so that none of us can wrong the universe. It has so infused its strong enchantment into nature that we prosper when we accept its advice, and when we struggle to wound its creatures, our hands are glued to our sides or they beat our own breasts. The whole course of things goes to teach us faith. We need only obey. There is guidance for each of us, and by lowly listening, we shall hear the right word. Why need you choose so painfully your place and occupation and associates and modes of action and of entertainment? Certainly, there is a possible right for you that precludes the need of balance and willful election. For you, there is a reality, a fit place, and congenial duties. Place yourself in the middle of the stream of power and wisdom, which animates all whom it floats, and you are without effort impelled to truth, to right, and a perfect contentment. Then you put all gainsayers in the wrong. Then you are the world, the measure of right, of truth, of beauty. If we will not be marplots with our miserable interferences, the work, the society, letters, arts, science, religion of men would go on far better than now, and the heaven predicted from the beginning of the world and still predicted from the bottom of the heart would organize itself, as do now the rose, and the air, and the sun. For more of Ralph Waldo Emerson's selected works and essays, please visit emersoncentral.com. Magnanimous viewers, it was a pleasure to have your kind presence for today's Words of Wisdom entitled Spiritual Laws, selection from an essay by Ralph Waldo Emerson, vegetarian. Coming up next is Warning Signs to Help End Climate Change, Locust Swarms, Part 3 of 3, right after Noteworthy News. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television for more uplifting programming. May our souls rejoice in a glorious union in God's merciful guidance.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/WOW